Hi, I'm one of those people who loves looking at maps. I just love being able to see the lie of the land and see different areas. For example, the wetland areas around Shapwick Heath and Ham Wall, and then going further north you see the higher land of the Mendips. And Jen and I both have this map addiction, and it's great fun to be able to plan routes, plan the walks that we do on our days off. For example, a few weeks ago, we looked around Compton Dundon and we found this lovely route. We parked in Compton Dundon, went south down to River Kerry, walked along the banks of the river, it's a lovely river, up along Wharton Drove, and then back along eastwards, back down to Compton Dundon itself. It was a lovely route. But you know what? There is something really important that needs to be decided before you plan the route. You need to decide where it is you're ultimately headed. So, for example, if you're going to Godney, it makes absolute sense to look along the country lanes, the route that you might take. You wouldn't go to the M5, despite the fact that the M5 is the fastest road in the area. Similarly, if you're heading off to Ardnamurchan in the west of Scotland, you wouldn't want to start by planning a route to Godney, unless possibly you're picking somebody up on the way. And you certainly wouldn't want to take a meandering route unless that's part of the strategy of your journey. You really do want to take the scenic route and you've got plenty of time to get there. In the normal course, you would head west to the M5 and you'd head north up the motorway. That's exactly what you try to do. So before you plan the route, you need to work out where it is you're headed. Now, the thing is, over the last few weeks, I've become aware of a lot of chat in church circles, a lot of webinars, that kind of thing, talking about church strategy for the post-COVID-19 situation, the strategy for the next weeks and months ahead. And I need to say, first of all, that much of this is really good stuff. Honestly, it is. The Church of England is not particularly well known for its good strategy, so it is really refreshing to hear people in the church talking in these terms, and it's really helpful to think in strategic ways. But I just have this niggle. And the niggle is this, that actually, before we plan our strategy, we need to be making sure that we get our vision correct. Our vision has to be focused on who God is, our relationship with Him through Jesus Christ and by His Holy Spirit. It's vitally important we get that as front and centre stage. That's our vision. That's why since the start of the lockdown, I've been really keen to emphasise the fact that one aspect of it has been, it's enabled us to have time which we can use in retreat, time to read the Bible more, pray more, spend time more in His presence. There's a lovely little word which you may come across in the Psalms. There's a little word called Salah. It occurs at the end of verses in the Psalms. And nobody can be exactly sure what it means. It probably means pause, but it may not. I heard today somebody using the word Salah to mean stop everything, listen and hear. Salah. Stop everything, listen and hear. And I just think that we need to hold on to that for a while. We need to hold on to that as being part of what we do, to stop our rushing, pause and spend more time in God's presence listening to Him. You know, we ourselves may have been caught by surprise by the pandemic. That's really been one of the global issues, that nobody was expecting a pandemic to start in December with the extraordinary effect it's had right across the globe. It's caught governments by surprise, it's caught industries by surprise, it's certainly caught churches by surprise. We're all in this together. But God himself has not changed. Neither has our need of God, our need of our relationship with him through Jesus Christ by his Holy Spirit. That remains the same. What's different maybe is our perception of our need for him. We've maybe realised yet again that we're just not as in control of our own lives as we thought we were. You know, the reality that a tiny microscopic thing, a virus, can wreak such damage on the global economy, on our lives, is just a reminder of the fact that our own sense of self-autonomy is to a large extent illusion. Our need for God is as great as it has ever been. Maybe another thing that has remained the same but our perception has changed is an awareness of our own sinfulness. You know, scientists have been warning that the risk of new pandemics emerging is increasing every time that we encroach on areas of wildlife. When wildlife has to be more and more restricted into smaller areas and therefore comes into contact with humans more often, there is a far greater chance of viruses, diseases crossing the species barrier from wildlife into humans, which is exactly what happened with COVID-19. And maybe we need a fresh awareness of the fact that, yes, although it happened in China, we are in Britain are part of the same globalised economy. We're part of that same sense of human sinfulness that has led to this new pandemic, COVID-19, arising, and which also makes us vulnerable to new viruses emerging in the future. We're all in this together. Our need for God, because of our innate sinfulness as human beings, our need for God is as great as ever, but maybe our awareness is becoming greater. There's a wonderful verse in Romans chapter 15, and I think might help us to understand what focusing on God is really all about. Paul, towards the end of this chapter in Romans 15, says this: "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Isn't that what we all need? Isn't that what we all need more of? Notice how hope appears twice. May the God of hope fill each one of us with all joy and peace as we trust in him, so that we may overflow with that same hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. That's why we need to focus on this God of hope who loves us with an indescribable love that's far deeper and greater than any other love that is available. So I'd love it if you could join us on Sunday. We're doing a communion service in Ashcroft Church at 9 o'clock, and we're doing our usual Zoom informal service at 10:30. And it'll be another opportunity for us to connect with the same God of hope who loves us and who desires to have a living and active relationship with each and every one of us. So thank you for joining me this morning, and I really hope that you can join us all on Sunday morning. Bye-bye.